and welcome to Posse Presents. Tonight at 5 p.m., a candlelight vigil was being held at Pageant Field in Quincy, Mass. For Puppy Doe, also known as Kia. There was a massive turnout expected, and the location was already moved to accommodate the numbers of people who were expected to attend. My background tonight has been changed to reflect my participation in the candlelight ceremony. The candle that I'm using is maybe very familiar to some. It's the particular candle that the No Kill Nation posts on a nightly basis to commemorate all of the animals who have lost their lives in kill shelters across the country. It symbolizes senseless death of homeless animals, and I think it's definitely appropriate to use for Puppy Doe because her death was about as senseless as they come, as well as her torture. You know, there's a lot of symbolism in this candle. Like I said, they post it every night, and it's not too late to light your candle at home and be part of this vigil. It did start at 5 p.m., but, you know, 7 o'clock, your candle would still be burning, and you can burn one through the night to show your unity. They did say there's a Facebook event, and, you know, they said you could burn it in your house, put it in your doorstep, any way that you can burn a candle. And I can't burn one here in the studio, so that's my candle. And that is going to stay up. This is a Posse Presents first because we've never worked with a different background through the duration of the show like this. Puppy Doe, aka Kia, which was her name before she was given away on Craigslist. She's become a movement. She's been covered by major media. People around the globe are staying tuned and hoping for justice. The Facebook page has had hundreds of posts of people's pets and handwritten messages hoping for justice, messages of support, messages expressing, you know, unity. And it's a really terrible thing that something so awful has to happen to bring people together. But that's what happens. And, you know, for those of you who aren't familiar, there was, you know, I covered this story last week. And Zach, let's show some of the, there's the Kia pictures and the Puppy Doe poster, just so everybody knows. This was when Kia was in her home, and she was just a little in there. And there is the poster, and that reward has grown substantially throughout the week. There really has been a movement. As I said, the Facebook page has just exploded. There's offshoot groups. There's events being made. There was actually a memorial books being put together with people's online signatures and comments that they were going to be presented to the speakers at tonight's candlelight vigil. They looked like beautiful things. They showed pictures of these books with Kia's picture on the front and, you know, filled with all of these messages printed out and pictures that were sent. It's been pretty amazing. I'll take the camera back, Zach. The details, very graphic details of her injuries from the vet who performed the exam after she was gone have been posted, and it's horrendous. Reading it is very, very difficult. It tells the tale of torture and abuse over an extended period of time. And really, there was hardly an area on her body where bones were not broken. You know, shattered eye sockets and skull fractures and leg fractures and, you know, vertebrae, and just, she was ribs. She was abused in just the most horrible way. You know, if you remember, her tongue was cut to be forked. She was stabbed in the eye. And some of these injuries were healing. Some of them were fresh. So it certainly was done over a period of time. And, you just really have to ask yourself, what kind of monsters lurk? You really do. Who does that? Who says, I'm going to go out and get an animal so I can just methodically torture it over an extended period of time? I don't understand. But that's exactly what was done. And the actions that this individual perpetrated against this poor animal, it cannot be forgotten, and it cannot be forgiven. And, there's also been allegations against her former owner, including being very careless in placing Kia when she did. If anybody's got any information at all, please, by all means, say something. That it falls back on that. If you see something, say something. And if you know something, I think morally you really are obligated to step up to the plate and have your say. The Animal Rescue League of Boston's Law Enforcement Department is one place that you can contact if you have any information. Their number is 617-226-5610. Once again, that's 617-226-5610. You can email them at cruelty@arlboston.org. That's cruelty@arlboston.org. You can also call the Quincy Police Department. There is a lieutenant assigned to this case, and it's 617-745-5774. 617-745-5774. It's just amazing that people have come together the way they have in this last week or so. There's been all kinds of media attention, news stories, both live and print and on television. And, the word is out there. I think there's not a lot of people who don't know, peripherally at least, about this dog. And there's got to be far more people who are just heartbroken and following the story. And there's somebody who knows something somewhere. And this really, something's got to be done. This can't continue to happen. The theory was that, the person that did this is probably already on to the next. And, it's horrible. It's horrible to think about. So if you know something, please reach out. Also, because of the fact that she was given away on Craigslist, people everywhere have stepped up efforts to educate people and discourage people from these Craigslist ads for their pets. Please reach out to rescues. If you've got an animal that you need to rehome, reach out for help to place your animals. You really, I've said this before, all likelihood not qualified to do it yourself. Red flags aren't going to be in place for you the way they are for people who, have some information, have experience, have methods of placing an animal safely. Just because you say, to good home only, or, to loving home, what do you think? The bad guys are going to go, oh, okay, that dog's not for me. Monsters lurk everywhere. And, they're out there looking for animals in order to do whatever it is they do with them. And, a rescue, keep your animal as long as you can. Let a rescue work on taking applications for it. Don't dump them on the streets. Don't take them to kill shelters. And believe me, your local pound is a kill shelter. And evidence of that is the fact that there have been a number of animals killed in pounds again this week. My best advice to you is not to take an animal in unless you can commit to it for the duration of that animal's life. It's not something to be taken lightly. You know, oh, my kids want a dog, so we'll have one for a while, but oh wait, next week we have to move, so I want to get rid of it, and you know I hate that term. You know, be prepared if you take an animal in. Dogs can live a long time. Cats can live even longer. Even small animals and birds. Birds are another thing entirely, because the bigger the bird, the longer the lifespan. They'll outlive you. But seriously, when you take in an animal, unless it's specifically to foster it and save its life, which is another whole thing entirely, there's no way you should even begin to take it unless your purpose is to keep it for its entire life. And that certainly reduces the risk of Craigslist ads, and it reduces the risk of people getting, the wrong people getting their hands on your animal, and it keeps them out of shelters, and then what do you know, we wouldn't have a TV show. But regardless, this is all serious stuff. I'm sure I'd find something else to do if there were no animals that were in need, trust me. In another Craigslist mishap, a woman was looking to place her dogs because she had fallen on hard times. And, you know, she's learned that it's a bad idea to go through Craigslist. She found someone to take her small dogs, her 2 small dogs, and now one is missing from Bridgeport. Apparently this caretaker says that the dog ran away. Zach, can we get the missing dog in Bridgeport up there? Yeah, the caretaker says that the dog ran away, and other information points to the allegation that the dog was actually sold. So here you go, here, take care of my dogs for me because I need some help, and turn around and just sell the dog. Now the woman's got the other one back, but now she's like frantically trying to find the dog that truly belongs to her, that someone, you know, just sold on the street apparently. From what I understand, the people have been, the owner and some other people have been going around the neighborhood where these dogs were housed, and it was said that as recently as a couple of days ago, this dog was still there, even though she said it ran away, and that she was walking around, her and her boyfriend were walking around trying to actively sell it. So, you know, you really think that people, you know, that you find online are going to be the most reputable? You're just going to be like, oh yeah, they seem like a nice person. Let me, you know, let me give my loved animal to, you know, a perfect stranger. No, no, and no. Anyway, this poor little dog probably doesn't have any idea what's happened to her. And hopefully she's at least, you know, if someone has her legitimately thinking that, you know, they brought home a new family pet, she's in good hands, I hope. But anyway, if you have any information about this dog, if you have a friend or a neighbor or an acquaintance or, you know, a third cousin twice removed who has a dog that looks something like this right now and it just happened in the last couple of weeks or so, please call 203-892-8837. That's 203-892-8837. No matter how much this alleged new family might, you know, be excited to have this dog, it really legally doesn't belong to them. It belongs to somebody else, and there's another person who's heartbroken over the fact that she doesn't know what happened to her dog. So again, if you have any information at all, 203-892-8837 is the number to call. And, you know, again, you're not ratting anybody out, you're doing the right thing. You know, you can say a lot of things about someone who's made a bad decision, and I'm not going to go there myself because you all know how harsh I can be. The fact is that the situation needs to be corrected. It's a lesson learned, and this dog needs to go home, and that's the end of that. Zach, can we have a look at Callie? Callie I talked about last week as well. This is ending up being a show that's repeating itself from last week, but these are still issues that are out there. Callie is still missing in Waterbury. She's been gone over a week. There's another shot of her. Very, very pretty girl in Speedo. That's definitely the dog you saw, right?
No doubt about that.
No doubt about that. Interestingly enough, if you missed last week's show, the first picture I put up of Callie, my good friend John, aka Speedo, here in the studio, lives in the neighborhood where Callie is missing, and he was jumping up and down on the sidelines telling me he saw her just that very morning. So, it's the craziest thing how, you share things one way or another, and the right pair of eyes might see it. Now, unfortunately, her mom, Amy, went out looking that night. She thought for sure she might be able to find her, seeing as how she was just in the neighborhood, and she got some leads, but she still has not been able to get her. The Cook Street and Moran Street is the area. Fulton Park, which, I'm not really familiar at all with that part of town, I'm not going to lie. But it's all interconnected, and she has been spotted. There was a dog tracker that came out to try to bring Amy to wherever Callie was hiding out, and the tracking dog indicates that she is living in the park. So she's there, and she's a timid dog. She's scared, and she's just, she's not going to come to anybody. So there's been a trap that's set, and people, I know it's a public park and all, and the trap is there in an undisclosed location, but apparently people are finding the trap, and, stay away from it. It's there for a reason. Don't mess with it. Believe me, it's being checked frequently. If there's an animal in there, it's gonna get out. There was an incident where, somebody called the cops because they found the trap or something I saw on the group page. And, leave it alone. Leave it alone. If there's an animal in there, call Amy. Her number is 203-528-6932. I think legally you have to check the traps every 4 hours, and I'm sure she is. The posters that are being hung are being ripped down. People, leave them alone. If you don't like the fact that they're there, imagine how someone feels whose dog is missing. The exposure is what's going to help bring her home. So just deal with it. And, unless they're hung illegally, and if they're hung illegally, call her and tell her. If you don't want the posters near your neighborhood or near your house or on your telephone pole, call her. Ask her to move them. She's a reasonable human being. This is an intensified search in a small area. This poor dog has been out there since the 19th, and all Amy wants is to have her home. So instead of hindering, why don't you help? Posters need to be up there. She needs to be put in the public eye. This is a common problem when people lose an animal and start putting posters up. People get resentful because they feel that, they don't want this stuff, hanging around. But you rip the poster down and throw it on the ground, well, what good does that do? Although I will say, years ago I was involved in a search for a friend's cat, and sure enough, someone had torn down a poster I hung, and someone went back to look for it who had the cat. They had the cat. They went back to look for it. The poster was ripped down, but it was in a pile of leaves. And they saw it in the pile of leaves and dragged it out of the pile of leaves and called us. And we got the cat back. So that was a pretty awesome thing, but that's going to be the exception to the rule. If you can do anything at all to help Amy, she's going to be very appreciative. She's, got some friends and she's got some help, but she's frantic and she just wants Callie home. And if you see Callie, call her right away. Don't try to be a hero because she is scared. You don't want to chase her into traffic. You don't want to chase her, and put her in any harm's way. You don't want to spook her from the area. If she's in the area and there's traps set and, you know where to look for her and the tracking dogs have verified that she's there, it's a good thing. Don't hinder her trying to get her home. It's not fair. There's another dog lost. I'll take the camera back, Zach. There's another dog lost up in Massachusetts, Bridget, and this poor woman is putting up signs, and people are taking them down. The officials are taking them down. She's got signage on private property and people are taking, the officials are taking that down. I mean, you know, the exposure is what's so important when there's a lost animal. It's what's going to get them home. And, you know, all right, you might not like the signs in your neighborhood, but then pitch in and make the situation go away by helping. That's really the best way that you can help. So anyway, if you have any information, do call 203-528-6932. That's Amy's number. And, you know, I really can only hope that Callie gets home soon, because I can't imagine what I would feel like if one of mine were missing. You know, it's just, it's unimaginable to me. But then again, there's a lot of things that are unimaginable to me. You know, I can't imagine giving one of my animals away. I can't imagine to a perfect stranger, you know, going back to the whole puppy doe thing and this other situation with the little white dog, you know, to perfect strangers. You know, it's hard enough as a rescue to, unless you really know people and you can read people, it's not something that everybody can do. You know, you could walk into the room and be having a bad day and you give off a vibe of not being a very nice person. You can walk into a room and be chipper, cheery, wonderful, you know, all white picket fence and everything else, and put yourself off as being just the most wonderful thing since sliced bread. And if someone doesn't know how to read people, they're going to fall for either way, you know. And of course, the monster isn't going to show up at your door to take your animal and do ungodly things to it. The monster isn't going to come to your door and, you know, take your dog and go put it in a fighting ring, use it for bait, or whatever else that, you know, these monsters do. And they are monsters. Anyone who would abuse an animal, anyone who would mistreat an animal, you know, it's monstrous, it's horrendous. And it's with Facebook and with social media and all of the things, all the tools that we have, I always go back to Patrick. When Patrick was found, I think it exploded on Facebook the same way Puppy Doe is exploding, and people become so aware of it, and then other people will start to post hoping for that, at least a fraction of the exposure. And it's a good thing. I mean, the exposure is a wonderful thing for people to actually see and learn what's going on in the real world. You know, it's not nice to read about. It's not nice to know. Some of the pictures are very hard to look at, but, you know, it's the awareness that's created. You know, I see a lot of lost animals posted, and, you know, sometimes someone will comment, you know, what's with all the lost animals lately? Is it so much that there are so many lately, or is it so much that now we're sharing things on Facebook and we're using that social media and now we're all aware of it? You know, the awareness is just what we need. In closing, Zach, let's throw Baker up real quick. I haven't gotten any updates on this guy this week, but he's only got until October 5th, which basically, it's like the end of next week or the end of this coming week. So, as I said, I don't see anything new about him, but let's make sure that he's going to get out of there and be alive after October 5th, when I'm told that he has until, because, you know, again, there was a lot of killing done in Connecticut this week, and that's got to stop too. Zach, I'll take the camera back. You know, there was a lot of controversy about, you know, how the pounds do their killing and they don't warn the public. Some of them do that, you know. Some of them will give a dog a date, like Baker has until the 5th, and others just pick their day and do their deeds. And, you know, then the public, when we find out, we're shocked and we're hurt and we're angry, and why didn't we know? Why does it always have to be an emergency before anybody will do anything? You know, to all the dogs who lost their lives in Connecticut this week in these pounds, would you have done anything? If you know, now that you're the big outcry that these dogs were killed, would you have done anything? Did you do anything? These are my questions. Why do they have to die? Yeah, the pounds really should let people know. Unfortunately, they're afraid of the backlash. You know, they're really not going to post on their Facebook page, "Hey, America, we killed 6 dogs today." They don't want to hear it, and that's kind of cowardly. I give it that, and I think that the public has a right to know that that's what's happening with these animals. Not just that they're disappearing off of Facebook and they're not getting posted anymore, and suddenly the cage has got another dog in it, and they're no longer on Pet Finder, just sort of swept under the carpet. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair to the people who have been sharing them. I don't think that's fair to the people who've been championing for them, but it's what happened. So, that's something that we need to work on, is a little bit of communication and accountability, and letting people know that, yep, these dogs didn't make it out. We shouldn't have to find out by accident, and that seems to be what's happening with a lot of these dogs. We can only surmise that, well, there's 5 not on their page today, so what happened? Oh, wait, look, they killed them. And then there's public outcry. So don't let them get to that urgent point, people. If you're somebody who can foster these dogs, do it. If just one dog at a time makes a huge difference. And, again, my advice is always foster a dog as wisely as you would adopt one, because if you have animals at home, you don't want to have any kind of problems in your own home for the duration of the time that you'll be fostering. Fostering can be a short-term commitment. Fostering can be a long-term commitment. It all depends. But if you even begin to think you can take an animal in, you should contact a rescue and get involved. I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to say peace, love, and dogs until next week. Go ahead, Zach.